Alright, start date, workshop table, day 5, supplemental. I flipped the table and you can see the glue, and let me tell you, the bottom was probably easily 6 or 7 times worse than this. This has little runs on the bottom. I had drips, but you can see how rough. You see that lip? It was just as bad, if not worse, underneath. Those lips are everywhere, and the sandpaper just could not get that off easily. Even with 50 grit, there was just too much material. So that's why I switched over to the plane, and the plane worked beautifully. Anybody who doesn't use a hand plane trying to do this kind of work, you're really missing out. I just wish I had a 6, 7, or 8. Anyways, there it is. So I'm going to get to work with the plane, and I'll do a video when it's after. I'm going to get a couple hours in before work starts today. Alright, day 5, supplemental. Day 5, carpenter or workbench, supplemental. I got it roughed out. It's about 8 o'clock. You can tell that I've been busy. I just roughed it. The blade's getting dull. You can see we're down here. And granted, I was taking some big cuts. I had glue and a lot of boards that were out of alignment. So I'll put up one more quick brushing over the top. You can see some long curls there where I just kept moving on. But I'm going to sharpen the blade and come out here and level it, square it. Those little flags are bothering me. I'll probably take those off before I call it. But I got all those high points out and dulled the crap out of the blade taking that glue off. You know, you're seeing the honing marks down here now from the dull blade, and I had it dialed in to take some pretty big bites. So really worked the blade over. Does a great job. I really wish I had a 6, 7, or 8. I just don't want to restore one today or lately or anytime soon. I got other projects, and I don't want to spend $400 for a good one. Alright, so I'm going to clean up these flags. I'm going to call it. I'm going to take the plane in, resharpen it, then come out and square this. And once it's squared, then I'm going to resharpen the blade, come out and do the final finishing shavings. And then it should be nice and flat. I shouldn't have to sand it, I hope. I am getting some really rough right here on this one board. Down here too. I might have to take sandpaper to that, but I'm not sure that anything's going to smooth that out. Anyways, once that's all done, then I'm going to put Danish oil on it, and then I'm going to get a circular saw, square it off, and then the legs. So I might work on it again today, but I doubt it. I'm spent. That was a lot of work. Workbench. Let's see. Start date. Workbench. Day 6. Okay. For the most part, I think the top is done. I have been planing my ass off, for lack of better terms. My grandfather's plane has done a beautiful job. I think a 6 or a 7 would have been better. No sandpaper, all hand planed. Now, before you guys with the OCD start pointing out these little honing marks. As I go over this thing for like the 100th time, trying to get every one of them out, I had to start telling myself that it's a workbench. It's going to get dinged up. The OCD in me says, keep working at it. Well, it's Georgia. It's freaking hot, and I've had enough fun. Some of the wood, rather than planing smooth, would chip out like that. It has to be around the knots. And no matter what I do, no matter how I angle the plane and try to go with the grain or against the grain, cross cut, I can never get it all out. It just chips up like that. But it is smooth. It is very smooth. Now, I got this great big framing square. It's pretty square. I mean, there's a few little light holes. Whoop! There's a few light holes peeking underneath it, but I don't think that's too bad, considering it's all done by hand. Yeah, see, right there, I got a little bit more of a creak. It seems to dip a little bit in the middle. It seems to be high on the two edges. And as I'm sitting there saying, chipping away, it dawns on me. Maybe it's good to have a little concave in the middle so that screws and stuff roll in rather than out toward the edge. So I decided not to work and make it absolutely perfectly flat. It is pretty damn close. It can't be more than 1 millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters off at any given point. Again, maybe a little bit in the middle, and it's still a little high on the two ends. And I think I'm good with that. Is it perfect? No. Is my OCD twitching? Yeah, a little bit. But again, screws will roll toward the middle rather than off the edge. See, the end is really good. There's only a hair in the middle. So, I'm calling it done. I'm going to put the Danish oil on it. I'm going to go get the circular saw probably this afternoon. And by the way, yes, I did do the edges. Can you see that? I did round the edge with the plane. And yes, I planed the front. And get the circular saw and square the edges, and then I'll put some beeswax on that. I'm going to leave that unfinished and let the beeswax do its job to slow the cure per Wranglerstar. Then I'll flip it over when that's dry and make sure that, start mounting the legs and make absolutely certain that where the legs are mounting is 100% square. So there it is. I will do a supplemental after I get the Danish stain on. Start 8, Workbench, Day 7, supplemental. One thing that our friend Wranglerstar failed to mention is that if you're going to use a circular saw, you better have a big one, because the 7 1/4 inch doesn't fit. It doesn't work. He's slinging a 10 1/4 inch blade in order to cut through that, and this one's a little shy. So if you're going to plan on cutting on the end with a circular saw, you better have a big one, or plan on flipping the bench and hitting it from the other side too. Okay, the table's upside down. It's raining. Table's upside down. I tried cutting through it with the circular saw. Of course, I misaligned it and had a ridge, and I tried to take the plane to it. Let's see, Start 8, Workbench, Day 8. My Day 7 supplemental got cut short because the battery died. Alright, so on Day 7, I used a 7 1/4 inch circular saw to square the corners, or the ends. Was not deep enough, and as much as I really wanted to use the plane to try to smooth it, I really wasn't having any luck, and I tore some out right here. so I stopped using it. Dug out the belt sander. As much as I hate to use a sandpaper on this, I really wanted to do it all by plane. I had to use the sandpaper to level it off because there was a lip. Even though I flipped it and tried to use the circular saw to join the two cuts, there was a ridge, and so I used the sandpaper to sand that ridge down. Then I used beeswax, heated up beeswax and brushed it on to seal it, the ends, so that it has a nice slow cure. And I drilled 3/8 inch holes for the vise, which I did that to give me a position so when I'm putting the legs on, I know where to drill the hole. So today's mission is to get the legs on. I have a micrometer that I will use to make sure that the wood thickness at this end is the same as on that end, and that it is absolutely square from this side to that side, so that when I bolt those legs on, it ain't going anywhere, and it's not going to rock. It's not going to wobble. That's probably my biggest pet peeve in the whole world, is a wobbly table. So I'm going to make absolutely certain the best I can, down to 1/1000th of an inch if necessary, to make sure that this leg is going to be equal to that leg. When it's all done, I may take a Dremel and cut this all thread off so it's nice and flush. I put Danish oil on both sides of the table, and so once the legs are on, like I said, I may cut those off. When that's done, flip it over onto its legs, mount the vise. Then I got to get the 5 2x6s to rip to mount onto those cross members, so that it won't go anywhere. And that should be about done. Hopefully I'm done by the end of the day. We'll give you supplementals as work progresses. Starlog, Workbench Day 8 supplemental. One thing that Wranglerstar did not mention is that you need washers. The bolts that he recommended, the 1.5, what were they? The 1/4 by 1.5 inch. They go right through the big holes, so you have to use washers. They fit in the little holes just fine, but there's not enough to make it stable. So do yourself a favor when you're buying the bolt. Go out and buy yourself, your 1/4 inch by 1 1/4 inch washers, and then they fit just fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 per leg, so 20 total. All right, start 8. Workbench Day 8 supplemental. All right, so I bought 3.5 inch bolts to mount the vise. Oh, by the way, it's up on her own legs. Anyways, they're too short. So, gotcha. Get 4 inch. Now this is leftover all thread from when I cut those, and it's just enough for 3 out of 4. The one that is too short on is the one where it goes through the metal leg. So I'm gonna have to pick up at least one 3/8 by 4 inch. For anyone looking to build this bench and not put that cross brace at the bottom, it wobbles. See that? You need that cross brace. The legs, the top, by my math, is about 123 pounds, and it makes the legs wobble back and forth. So you definitely need a cross brace down there. If you're not planning on using the 2x6s, put a cross brace of some kind. What you're seeing here, by the way, this is Mercury's thread locker, Mercury adhesives. This is the packaging. I think it looks cool. What's really neat about it is that it has a brush on the cap, so you can apply it without making a mess. Now, for normal cases, that's not a big deal. I'm trying to do this one-handed. Using a regular thread lock bottle, where it comes in handy is when you need small screws. When you're working on drones, hang on a sec, I gotta open this thing. So when you're working on drones or working on guns, you know, see here, it's got a brush in the cap, and that's the same as, it's a medium strength, so that's the same as Loctite's 242 formula, and it works just as good. So I'm going to be using that on the all thread, putting a nut on, and then I'll clamp it down, but I still need to hunt down a 3/8 by 4 inch for that one corner. We'll give another supplemental in a little bit. Okay, start date, Workbench, day 9. Yesterday, all I did was, you know, get it on its legs. Today, and I probably would have had this all done yesterday on day 8, but I kept having to make runs to Home Depot. So today, I put those crossbars, those angle, you know, the steel 1 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch. And I put a 2x4 across the back and bolted it. And then I mounted the 2x6 ripped down to 5 inch for the lower shelf. And you know, that eliminated almost all the side. It eliminated definitely all the side to side. Still got a little wobble front and back. Anyways, other than that, there's one more small task to do. Is that there's a little crack right here where, you know, the glue didn't pull it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking the Mercury Adhesives High Performance CA super glue, cyanoacrylate is what CA stands for, with one of the mercury extension tips, and I'm going to drip that right down into that crack, and then I'm going to put a 36-inch clamp to pull it together. The reason why I'm using the Mercury Adhesives High Performance is it is, in my opinion, the best super glue you can buy. It sticks to anything, including old glue. So if there's any carpenter glue down here, this will bond to it. It'll also bond to the wood, and it'll bond to anything that's in there and help pull that together. Other CAs do not like to stick to old glue. They won't stick to light ply. This sticks to plywood. It sticks to light ply. Sticks to carbon fiber, Kevlar, high alkaline substrates, anything you can think of, pretty much. Although maybe not Teflon pans. I just saw that on King of Random. Haven't tried that. But it sticks to just about anything else. So I'm going to drip that down in here, and I'm going to put a clamp on it to tighten that down. But other than that, I mean, it's done. Now, I'm going to say this. My wife tried to pick it up yesterday. She says that it's heavier than Thor's hammer. Heavier than Thor's hammer. Might have to call it Mjölnir. Yeah. Anybody building this, you may want to consider putting wheels under this thing. But other than that, I'm going to do that quick glue job. I will put the camera down. I will show you when it's put together, and we'll do a supplemental, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, start date, Workbench, day 9. I went ahead and got the CA, the Mercury Adhesives High Performance in the crack, tightened it down as tight as I could get it, and let that harden. By the way, here it is with the extension tip. Nice snug fit. By the way, if you're using these extension tips, you can see there's a little bubble of glue in there. Just give it a little squeeze and let the air pressure, let the air pressure suck it back out, and then you can reuse it. Also, what I like about their glue is that they have these triple sealed caps. So you never have to, on other CAs, you might have to cut the tip off because they get all clogged up. That doesn't happen here. There's a pin in the cap, and that keeps the glue channel clear. So when you screw it on, so we'll pop that tip off. You know, you might get a little bit of glue up here if you don't wipe it off between uses. You can actually take pliers and chip that off, but it doesn't stick to the plastic. And you, yeah, see, the the plane was properly sharp. Okay, anyways, when you tighten that down, it pushes that pin down into the channel and keeps it clear, and then there's a seal here, and then it's screw tight. So really good stuff. That's probably my most used super glue I've ever done. So anyways, Mjölnir is now done, and I'm gonna have to go grab the neighbor and have him help me move this thing into position, because it is a ton. But I am very, very proud of the work. I'm very proud of how smooth it came out, all done by hand plane. Hopefully that comes through on the video. Very, very pleased with it. My father and grandfather would be proud. So God bless America, and thank you for watching.